What's going on, my good people? It's your boy Jay Fry. Today we're outside in my small backyard garden where we're going to be planting 2 bare root fruit trees that doesn't need a second tree to produce, and we're going to be planting it right here in this Texas clay soil. So hang out with your boy for a minute and check it out. Alright, so the trees that I got today I actually ordered from Stark Bros, and a couple of the reasons why I went ahead with these trees that I have is because they're supposed to be low maintenance, beginner friendly, and they don't need a second pollinator to produce fruit. So if you have a small backyard garden like I do, you might want to check these out just in case you want to fit them in. Alright, so I actually ordered the bare root trees generally because they're actually cheaper, and sometimes they can be easier to ship, and you can almost plant them pretty much right on time. But I did have a problem getting these, and I don't think it was with Stark Bros. I think it was more so with the FedEx, because I will tell you that FedEx showed up at the house like 2 times. I was told they showed up once, and you can see the guy go to the back of the truck, and then they pulled off, and then the second time I was actually here, and I watched them pull up to the back of the truck, pull up, go to the back of the truck, and pull off. And each of those days I was getting an email saying that it was going to be the delivery date, but that didn't happen. Now once I got these trees, I did actually go ahead and look at them, and I wasn't too happy with what I saw, but I think it'll be okay. Yeah, so like I said, once I got it, you know what I'm saying, I actually put this paper on here, this brown paper. I shredded up my own paper, and this is what they put in here. So with the delivery taking as long as it did, and I'm gonna blame that on FedEx, because you know that's how they do sometimes. The box was wide open. I didn't even have to bust it open. It was already open. And so I just added that and damped it up a little bit. And so here's one of those fruit trees. The roots on there look pretty good on this one, so I wasn't really upset with this one. This one is our Methley Plum. So this is not a dwarf tree or nothing like that. It's just a standard plum tree, but this is one of the only ones that says that it doesn't need a pollinator to produce. And of course, anytime you have a tree, after reading it, say anytime you have a tree and have an extra tree, it will do a whole lot better. So just because it doesn't need it doesn't mean it wouldn't do better if it had one. So look at that, the roots on here look pretty good. They're fairly dry, so I'm gonna put that in water, and I guess that's where the graft point. So I'm assuming they putting the yellow line there telling me where to plant it to, and that's just what I'm gonna do. But if you look right there and right there, it's already starting to flower a little bit. This one was broke off, and a couple of more was broke. So I don't know if it came like that, or I think it's from the delivery. I'm still gonna blame it on FedEx on this one. So that's my plum tree, and this one right here. Now I don't think that I ever had anything like this fruit before from a store or whatever, but this is I think that's pronounced Shanxi Li Jujube. So apparently this right here, you know, when it's hard, it tastes kind of like an apple, and then once it ripens, it tastes like a date. So, and I went with this one as well because it doesn't need another pollinator. But you know, I guess that's the graft again, and then there's the roots. I guess as long as I got these 2 roots, we may be good, but those little ones ain't doing nothing. Alright, so we took a look at the bare root trees, but before we put them in the ground, I'm going to show you the hole that I dug and kind of like the clay soil that I'm going to be dealing with. And I went ahead and pre-dug the hole. I did it a while ago once I first got the first email telling me that, you know, hey, your tree will be here on this day, and it kept happening. So I dug the hole, and I'm actually glad I did because it rained pretty good the other day. So I'm gonna show you just how much this clay soil that we have here holds water. Now I dug 3 holes, but I only needed 2, and I was able to go ahead and remove the water from the 2 that I'm going to be using. but the other one I'm gonna show you how much water that it actually holds. And like I said, it's been 2 days now. And then before we're done, one of the other trees that I ordered from Stark Bros, I ordered it last year. It's been in the ground, so I want to make sure to show you guys that it's doing real good. And it's a peach tree. I don't know if you guys seen the video before with me planting that peach tree, but I want to show you the results a year later. But all right, so we was able to take a look at our bare root trees that we got. We're gonna go ahead and fill up a bucket of water and soak these roots to kind of wake them up a little bit. And now let's go ahead and take a look at the location where I'm going to be planting them and how I'm going to amend the soil. The location that I'm going to be planting these in, this spot pretty much gets full sun, and it's pretty much in line with the last tree that I planted. So I'm going to have 3 trees in one line. But now let's take a look at the hole that I've dug. The reason why these are closer together is because this first one is actually, I measured it out. This is where I wanted to start the first tree. But there's actually, you probably can see it, there's a pipe running down the middle of it. And it rained not last night, but the night before, and it's still holding water. I actually removed some of the water out of that one and decided to leave some so I can show you guys. So I'm gonna come here, just right here, a little bit over. I removed this water. So this is the clay soil that I've been dealing with. Now, the holes don't need to be that big. You saw the bare root tree. It don't need to be that big, but all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of the soil that I pulled out of there and some of this black cow, and I'm gonna mix it up and fill it back up, and then we'll go from there. I wanna make sure that I give these trees the best chance possible so they can make it. So boom, I got one tree here, and then another one right here. Oh, and one other thing, most of these trees, you know, when you don't buy a dwarf tree, you buy like a standard tree, it say it needs spacing 15 to 20 feet. But I have a small backyard, so I'm doing down, I think there's like 8 feet, 8 or 9 feet or something like that. So from this one to that one, and then my next tree over, we're gonna take a look at that too. That's like 9 feet between each one, so it needs 15 to 20 feet or something like that. What I'll have to do once they actually get up to size, I just have to make sure to prune them down pretty tight. You know what I'm saying? That's how I'm gonna make sure they fit in this small space. Now I may be doing a little bit more work than I need to do. I could have just dug a small hole and then planted the tree and mixed it up, but I didn't do it like that this time. So I know when you have this clay soil, I already did it. I just coming in and breaking up the size, right? And then the other thing that I've been adding, I hadn't added it as much as I needed to, but this is just some gypsum. It's supposed to help break down the clay soil. So I've actually put some of this inside of here, and I already mixed that up, right? And then I just sprinkle some around this hole. So along with the compost, so like the organic matter, the compost, and this right here, this is going to help break down that clay soil. So I actually bought a bag of black cow just for this. So I'm going to pretty much not fill the whole thing up, but I'm going to put enough of it in here. That way I can also mix it with the native soil. Because of course, you know, you don't want to just put potting soil or compost and plant into that. You want to mix in the native soil. That way the tree will be kind of used to it a little bit. But yeah, I'm gonna put a nice amount in there for now, and then I'm gonna dump some of this in here. Probably should have waited a few days to let this kind of dry up. Alright, so we pretty much get the idea on how we're going to do this. I'm going to finish amending this hole right here. I'll move on to the next, and then after the roots have soaked a little bit, we'll come back and plant them. Alright, so if you're still here with me, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the channel and help your boy grow. You know I appreciate it. So far what we done, we went ahead and started soaking our fruit trees. It's been about an hour or so. give or take. And I also fired up the grill before it got too late, and we amended our holes that I already had pre-dug. So only thing I did was added some black cow compost, some gypsum, and I messed around and added some of the soil that I got from the grow bags just to help it out a little bit. Now I kind of mixed it up to the ratio where I felt I was comfortable of giving these trees the best chance to survive. Now I probably worked a little bit harder than I needed to by making the hole too big, and I also out here mixing it a couple of days after the rain. You see how that clay soil is, it's kind of heavy, it gets real thick and sticky, but that's just what I'm dealing with. All right, so peep game, this is the hole that I got amended right here. You can still see the clay that's in there, and that's going to be all throughout this. So when I dig this hole, I'm still going to put a little bit more compost in it, but I got it amended pretty decent. And in this spot right here, this is I have the tree from last year, and then here I'm going to put in this plum tree. So I went ahead and soaked the roots. So it's been, like I said, it's been an hour, give or take. Now originally this wasn't my first choice to go with. Originally I wanted to do like a plum cot tree, but it needed another pollinator, so I had to do my research and find out which trees I can actually plant that didn't need a pollinator. And so this plum tree right here is one of them, the Methley Plum, and I couldn't find it in I couldn't find one in a dwarf size, so I had to go with a standard size tree. So it may end up being a little too big in the long run, but I think if I keep it trimmed down a little bit, it should be okay. But I have to get to that point first. Now you might say, I dug the hole, filled it back up, and now I'm re-digging it, but dealing with this clay soil, man, it's kind of rough, so I want to make sure to go ahead and get that done off camera. And so I did dig the hole big enough. And like I said, this is the graph right here where you see this yellow line. I know it don't want me to plant it above the graph, so I'll make sure I get it deep enough to where that's gonna line up just right. So I do it just like that. This right here is just some the soil that I had in grow bags that I'm gonna go ahead and add to the top of this. And then I do have a little bit more. I have some more of the clay soil, the native soil that's already here. I'll come in and add it on top later. But I want to make sure we see the graph. So I'm assuming they marked this yellow line for me just for that reason. All right, so you remember when I showed you a couple of spots where it seemed like it was already starting to flower and do its thing. Now I'm not sure, y'all let me know down in the comments. I think it'll be best for me to go ahead and knock those off, that way I can concentrate on the roots or whatever. So I got one right here, one right here, and it's just those two so far that I could tell. All right, so we're pretty much gonna do the same thing over here for this this other fruit tree. This how the root system look on this one. This is the let's see, can you see that? It's a jujube. So the hole doesn't need to be as big as the other one, probably as deep but not as big. And again, this is the graph. So again, I chose this one again because it was something that we hadn't had before, and it didn't need a pollinator. So we decided to go ahead and try something a little different. feel like it needs a little bit more compost in it. Alright, so we finally got 2 new fruit trees planted in ground in our small backyard garden. Now, I actually been planning on doing these for a while, so I'm happy to go ahead and have those done. I wish I would have done it a little bit sooner, but that's just how the cookie crumble. Now, before we take a look at how I got them done and the spacing, which we already saw that, only thing I need to do now is just water them in. So that's one of the things we don't want to miss out on. Even though the soil is still wet, I do want to make sure to water them in, and I tried to make sure not to use too much compost versus the native soil, because they do have to still grow into that. And I think that's pretty much it. Now, don't forget to let me know in the comments if I need to snip the buds off this plum tree that's starting to sprout, or should I just let it go ahead and do its thing. So let's go ahead and take a look at the peach tree that I planted last year, and let's see how it's actually doing. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how I got them spaced out. And right there to our left, can't really see it, there is our jujube tree. Like I said, that's something like an apple tree. When it gets a little ripened, it tastes more like a date. So I can't wait to see how that's going to turn out. So that tree right there is real good for Texas Zone 8B because it's real heat tolerant and it can handle a drought a little bit. So I forgot to mention that was another one of the reasons why I went with that one, besides it doesn't need another pollinator. So that one, I'm thinking that one's going to do real well here. And then we're going to space it out. Like I said, I'm like 9 feet apart. Then right here I have our plum tree. It's doing this thing. And then here, this is the tree that I planted last year. Now this is July Alberta peach tree. Now you see how I put the little ring around this one. I'm going to actually end up having to do it around those trees too. But this is our July Alberta peach tree. This is actually a dwarf tree. And last year I think we got 3 peaches off of it, and 2 of them went bad because I left them on there too long. Didn't actually really know when to harvest or whatever, but we started putting on some new growth. This stem right here, I thought it was done, but after the rain it started to sprout too. So let's see, we got a couple of peaches on there. You know what I'm talking about? Now, kind of like real quick on this peach tree, kind of like the other one over there as far as the graft or whatever. Now on this one, I don't think the graft starts right here, so I probably should have came up a little bit more. I probably still can, but this right here that's growing, I think it's growing from this tree because I didn't cover it up. So I'm just gonna keep chopping that down. But yeah, this peach tree, it's looking pretty good. And I pretty much did this one the same way that y'all just saw me plant those other 2. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and name this tree right here. It's a July Alberta peach tree. I think I'm just gonna call it July, and I'm gonna call it Alberta when I get the peaches off of it. Yeah, we looking good, y'all. So another test done in the backyard. 2 more fruit trees. Alright, so that's pretty much it. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with your boy. If you like this video, make sure to give me a thumbs up. I'll holler at you.